Although it should be obvious at this point, there are still many in America, both regular people and politicians, who are attempting to ignore the obvious deadly homophobic nature of the terrorist attack in Orlando. That's what it was. There might have been religious influence as well, but this is a person who is driven by his hatred for the LGBT community that led him to go to the club multiple times, to stalk the people there, to rant about how much he hated gay individuals, and to eventually kill 49 of them and injure more than 50. But this is just the largest and latest attack on the LGBT community in our country and around the world. And so we want to talk a little bit about that so that it's not lost. Now, the reason I'm talking about the ignoring is there have been a couple of instances of that. There was a show in the UK on the Sky Network of a man making clear that this was a homophobic attack, and his co-host attempting to say, well, let's not focus on any one group. This is about freedom for all people. Don't try to claim ownership of this. And then Rick Scott, who of course should be particularly empathic of the people there, considering that he is their governor, refused to even mention in extended comments with the news that this was the community that was targeted here. And you're going to see instead what he chose to focus on in this video.
There are a lot of Americans watching right now who want to know what they can do to help. What can they do to help, sir?
I think is pray. Pray for just think about. Pray for the victims, pray for their families, pray that this never happens again. We have a wonderful state. Orlando is a wonderful community. We have a wonderful country. I don't ever want this to happen again. It's devastating to these families. That my heart just goes out to them. I just can't imagine.
Can you imagine if it was at a church or a mosque or a Jewish community center or any other group, which it has been, of course. We have terrorist attacks to go around. You identify the group. You identify that this wasn't a random place, okay? This was not, we have a wonderful country. Sure, we also have a homophobic country with a history of violence, particularly against the LGBT community. And you have to identify that. You're the politician who's supposed to be responsible for these people, and you refuse to even identify who they are. And you say that we should pray for these people. But what you mean is pray for these people and then immediately go back to ignoring them and to trying to take away their rights wherever possible. Now, this is going to take a minute, I apologize, but I want to briefly run through some of the other violence, because many people believe that, like they believe that racism is gone from America, they also think that homophobia is gone from America, but that is unfortunately not the case. Until this weekend's horrific shooting, the largest massacre of gay people was an arson attack at a bar in New Orleans back in 1973. LGBT people had piled into the upstairs lounge for a happy hour to celebrate the 4th anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising. Just before 8 p.m., someone, or possibly a group of people, doused the stairwell with lighter fluid and then lit it. Within seconds, fire spread through the bar, the power went out and the room filled with black smoke. 32 people died and many others were injured. Many of the people who died were unidentifiable, not only because the fire scorched their bodies, but also because, despite the celebration of gay liberation, many gay men were not out of the closet and used fake IDs and aliases in gay bars. Even their families didn't know they were there. There was also the Gay Pride Parade in Jerusalem in 2015. We're not talking about ancient history here. An ultra-Orthodox Jewish man stabbed 6 people, killing 1, 10 years after attacking participants in the same parade back in 2005. In Roanoke, Virginia in 2000, a man opened fire at the Backstreet Cafe, killing 1 man and wounding 6 others. The gunman told police he was on a mission to kill gay people. And I want to bring up this chart here because you're going to see reported anti-LGBTQ hate crimes in America. Now, there's wide disparity between different groups, between different reporting groups, but what we're seeing there is literally thousands of attacks against the LGBT community every single year. This is the one that's getting the news today with good reason, but it is simply the largest, simply the most recent in a pattern that is all too common throughout American history, including this year. And to have Republicans just say that it doesn't matter that it's that group.
It's also weird that praying hasn't made it stop. He said, let's pray that it doesn't happen again, right?
I mean,
it's time for plan B.
Yeah, praying, first of all, does nothing. But second of all, I find the notion of praying a little insulting when religion is one of the things that honestly spurs the hatred toward the gay community, right? But another thing to keep in mind is this shouldn't be surprising for anyone. It shouldn't be surprising that, conservatives in the United States refuse to acknowledge that these were LGBT victims. I mean, they're the same people that have been, fighting in favor of discriminatory legislation against transgender people, referring to transgender men as rapists. They're the biggest threat to your wives and your daughters. They're going to go into bathrooms and they're going to sexually assault and molest your family members. I mean, that type of rhetoric is repeated and regurgitated over and over and over again. So they don't care about the victims. They care about exploiting a situation like this for political gain, as I've mentioned before. Rick Scott issued a statement because he's the governor of Florida and he's forced to issue a statement. Okay, he doesn't want to do anything about gun control. He doesn't want to do anything to increase tolerance toward the gay community. It's that simple. Okay, there are no solutions being proposed by our legislators right now, and that is the real crime.
Yeah.
That this will continue to happen over and over again. We're going to continue losing our loved ones and grieving over this ridiculous, corrupt political system.